Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back to the planet at no cost to you, and there's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement. Only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
The Bachelorette and Friends. From first love to happy ever after.
What's that?
From dating to dick pics.
Oh my.
Oh no! The Bachelorette and Friends. Oh, I love a good dick.
This podcast contains sexual references, coarse language, and adult themes from the beginning and throughout. It is not recommended for listeners under the age of 15.
If you subscribe on patreon.com/thecatchlorettepod, you get early access to episodes, not to mention keeping the pod alive for as little as $1 a month. Subscribe now. Patreon.com/thecatchlorettepod. Hello and welcome to the Bachelorette and Friends. I'm your host, Carla Anita Matiazzo, and today's guest is a comedian. She's a mother and she's a co-host of a podcast called Quite the Pickle. Welcome to the podcast, Emma Zammit.
Yay! Oh my gosh, what an intro. What about your voice then? I'm just running to sex town. I was like, literally, if anyone could see us right now, we are far from fucking sexy. We are
so hot. So hot right now.
We are so pretty. But luckily, we have husky, sexy voices to get us by.
Yeah, no one would know. No one would know.
No one.
No.
Not at all. Thank God this is not a visual medium. How are you?
Good. How are you? And thanks for coming on. We're recording this just for the listeners during the Brisbane 3-day lockdown. Is that correct, Emma?
Yep.
3 days?
Day 1, 10 a.m. Feels like 6 p.m. I've been up since 5 with my daughter.
Oh, fun.
Do you want to hear how I woke up this morning?
Sure.
Yeah. I woke up to my daughter in my face at 5:20 this morning, and she was like stroking my nose to try and wake me up. And then I opened my eyes and she said, "Just wondering, how was your sleep?" I was like,
What?
Get out of my face. Get out of my face right now.
How old is she?
She's 5.
Oh.
She's a real like old soul though. Like she's been on this earth probably 7 times.
Yeah.
I reckon. But my son has never stepped foot on this earth in his entire life.
Why do you say that, Emma? Why do you say that?
Everything is like, oh, what is that? What happened there? How did that happen? Can you walk me into this room? I don't know what's there. Where's my daughter? The last question she asked me before she went to sleep last night, she goes, "Mum, before I go to sleep, can you just tell me, how did you know Dad was the one?"
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and she knows all these songs. Like she knows all these songs that I've never sang to her before. But she knows all the lyrics to it. It's really weird. Like seriously, there's stuff that she does and I go, oh God, I can't remember the name of the song. Did you hear that then? Here she comes, old soul McGee. She knows whenever I'm on a podcast. Look, here she is.
Hello.
Say hi.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, good. Go back with Louie.
Oh, she's gorgeous, Emma.
Yeah. So anyway, that's so yes, lockdown. We're here again. I'm really scared about Easter, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah, shit. I didn't even think about that. Is that why they made it for 3 days so that everyone could get back out for Easter?
Yeah, you are really speaking like a true Adelaide right now. You're like, oh, that's right. Haven't had coronavirus here since 1987. I wouldn't even know. Like, literally. Oh, is that why they did the 3 days? You are so oblivious to what is happening outside your Adelaide bubble. I can hear it in your voice.
Emma, don't call me out like that, man. Yeah, look, it's
figured out.
It's been interesting. Yeah. It's been interesting.
So by interesting, do you mean great, having a great time? Thanks for coming, Adelaide. Yeah.
No.
It's been interesting. Don't even try and pitch it to me like you're having a hard time. Oh, it's been interesting. I mean, we've had to live normally.
Look, we've been pretty lucky. Yes, you are correct, Emma. You are correct, mate. You are. Yeah, spot on. Spot on. I got nothing on that. I got fucking nothing.
Oh, God. Anyway, let's just keep rolling. But everything's fine. I can't complain. It'll be all fine.
Yeah, and then Easter will be delightful. Have you bought anything yet for the, assistance to the Easter Bunny?
I have actually, and probably not, because I don't eat chocolate. So I just don't like it, although my family thinks I've been making that up for 39 years now.
Why?
It's elaborate. Because they just don't get it. They're just like, what do you mean you don't like it? No one, my brother's like, okay, cool. Good lie. I've seen you eat chocolate before. I'm like, do you think if I was going to continue this kind of lie, don't you think I would have made up something different aside from I don't eat chocolate?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just don't like it. But give me a box of pizza shapes and I'll crush that up and railroad that off a bench any day.
So you're a savoury chick rather than a sweet tooth?
Massively.
Yeah, right.
I ate so many boxes of chicken crimpies when I was pregnant. I might as well have been a Shapes ambassador.
You need to hook it up.
I do. I'd be the fattest bitch. I would be the fattest bitch if I was an ambassador for Shane.
Oh, shit. No, because you could offload some of them to Jacques.
Yeah. Oh, he would never take them off me. He's a real gym buff.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of The Catchalorette and Friends. Make sure you follow the podcast at The Catchalorette Pod on Instagram. And if you think your love journey is worth sharing with me on the podcast, send me an email, thecatchalorettepod@gmail.com, or slide into my Instagram DMs. Oh, and don't forget to give the podcast a review and tell all your motherfucking people to listen to the show. Now let's get back to this episode. So, Emma, what was your first crush and what's the story around that?
I lived on a really great street. I lived on a great street growing up. Like, there was kids all my exact same age. We all grew up together. And my best friend, Belinda, she lived like on the same street as me, and we went to preschool, primary school and high school together.
Oh, look out.
And we still best mates. I've been her son's godmother. She's my daughter's godmother. And we had all these boys in the same street as us. And David Stevens was like the love of my life, who lived, and we lived opposite the park, and so him and I always destined to be our first loves together, I think. And so when I was like in year 4 or 5 or something, so Belinda, hooked up, and by hooked up I mean held hands with one of the boys in that street. That was a big deal. And then David and I started going out together, and God, I had the biggest crush. And I'll never forget this ever. The exact moment and the exact time it happened. but we were walking. We all used to walk to the train station together to go to school. And I remember one day he just took my hand gently as we were walking. It was my first handhold, and I was mid-sentence, and I just couldn't. I literally just lost everything. I couldn't talk. Everything kind of went away, and I was like, oh my God, like it was just such a big deal. Like
that's
the
so
innocence,
sweet.
yeah, the innocence of it, just a handhold, and how that in that moment, like I'll never forget that moment. So he was my first. Yeah,
That's really sweet. That's really sweet. Do you think, Emma, in today's day and age, like when your kids are coming up, right? Do you think that the innocence of hand holding will be such a big deal? Because I remember that being a big deal for me as a kid as well. Do you think that that will have such significance on their journey as well?
I don't think it's going to be as much. It's kind of scary what it will be replaced with, but I don't think it's, no, I don't think it's going to be. Like I remember one time I went to do you remember blue light discos?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, they're groundbreaking. That was groundbreaking stuff, right? But my father's Maltese, a wog,
Yeah.
and he didn't let me go to my first one. And it was from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and I cried. Oh my God, I was so upset. And then probably because he knew what boys were capable of, he was trying to protect me. But then I remember going to this other blue light disco, and one of my other crushes I had, this was later on when I was 13 or something. Mm-hmm. And I remember this boy coming over and dancing with me that I had a crush with. And I got this nervous twitch in my eye. And, sometimes it's like a muscle spasm and you think, and all I could think was, God help me, please don't let him think something is happening to my face. And it was just like this vibrating twitch in my eye because of the nerves that overcame me when he just stood in front of me to dance with me.
Aww.
So it's I don't know if that's even going to happen for kids these days.
Kids, eh?
They'll probably get those butterflies if they get a Snapchat from him.
Yeah,
Snapchat
probs.
Yeah, probs.
Oh, that's so sweet. That actually reminds me of the story that you just told in regards to that boy coming to dance with you. When I was at school, I was singing in all the choirs and all that kind of shit, and we had a cabaret, in inverted commas, evening. It was not fucking cabaret. It was big bands playing and choir singing. Look, that's not cabaret, but whatever. Anyway, so I remember in between when my choir was singing and one of these dudes playing in one of the bands, I remember, and keep in mind, all the parents were there. So it was an event for the community. And like you, I'm ethnic. I'm Italian, French and Croatian, right? Eldest daughter in the family. And this bloke comes up to me and dances with me, and I freaked the fuck out. Old style dancing. I could not make any eye contact. He was looking at me, smiling. I was freaking the fuck out. What is going on? And I was so conscious that my parents were there. I think I must have been maybe 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
And then once the song finished, he's like, oh, do you want to dance for the next song? I was out of there in the toilet. I just ran away. I was like, no, I'm good. And I just left. I was like, what is happening?
You're I would love to, but there's a poo in my undies because...
I was like, I'm out. I freaked out because my parents were there. If my parents were there, I would have been fine. But my parents were there. I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to get in so much trouble for dancing with this boy.
Oh, God. It's I totally get that feeling as well. And they would have been watching you. All eyes on Carla. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. My mum more so than my dad, I think. And the bad thing is, Emma, I was in year 9 and he was in year 12. So in high school, that's a big age difference.
That's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's a big age difference. Yeah, not now, but in high school.
Yeah, in high school, definitely. Yeah, even dating someone the year above you was
yeah,
Shit, it's you hardcore.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so from those initial like dances and the hand holding, I like to think of high school relationships as like training wheel relationships where you get to test out your boundaries, work out what you want and whatnot. So what were the lessons and the stories around your training wheel relationships, Emma?
Shit, that's deep. You should have prepped me with these questions.
I don't run them down. They come to me when they come to me. Like your daughter being an old soul, they just come to me, Emma.
So the question is, what's the training wheels lessons that I learned?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
How's your face? You're so disgusted that I asked this.
I hate that fucking question. I don't know. Like, I mean, I had some stupid, weird relationships. Like, well, not relationships. They were like teenage bullshit, fucking whatever they were. But like, my first kiss was a redhead, and my husband is now a redhead. So that's a nice way to start and end it.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle. Although the first guy kissed like a giraffe trying to get some hay out of a high-reaching like
tree. Yeah.
Tree. It's in and out. The tongue in and out is so gross.
Tell him. Were you like, we need to work on this technique?
Oh, I don't think I lasted long with that guy. I think, you know what I used to put up with is just being treated like shit because I was like, I used to be teased by the boys and I used to think, I mean, my confidence is so different to what I used to be in high school. Like, I was kind of an all-rounder. Like I would be around everywhere and to every group, and I have the foundations of who I am was still there in high school, but I just allowed people to push me around heaps. But nowadays,
fuck that shit.
I'm real mouthy.
But do you think that that's part of an ethnic thing? Do you think we are kind of subconsciously
100%.
guided to that state as women in our culture, as
100%.
young women? And then we get to a point where we're like, nah, this is fucking bullshit. Like this. Yeah.
Whatever wog you are.
Yeah.
There's always an aggression in a wog. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter if you're Italian, Greek, Lebs have got it fully sick, but like Maltese, Croatian, there is something. We've got loud voices and where there's an aggression undertone.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I mean, like my mum's like blonde hair, blue eyes Australian. Like I don't have two Maltese parents. But yeah, I don't know. But like I didn't have that aggression kind of as a younger, and I just used to, all these boys used to like the boys across the road from me who I had a crush on, they would they would tease me and put like Valentine's Day cards in the letterbox and watch me from their windows, and I would like be thinking I generally had like oh my God,
that's real mean.
Yeah, like, and I used to just be pushed around a bit, and like I had so I kind of just, you know, was a bit odd in high school. And then I met my like first long-term boyfriend when I was 16 when we worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And he was
dating in the workplace, Emma. Great.
Yes. Yeah, McDonald's. We used to get into the cool room and have a real patch off. And then I'd open up the pickle jar and give it a good nudge.
Yeah, great. I love it. I love it so much. Excellent.
You know, like cigarettes after sex? I used to have like a handful of scoop of pickles.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. I thought that was a euphemism for something. But, yeah.
Just generally pickles. I mean, I'm so offended when people take them off cheeseburgers.
Yeah, right. They're a powerful ingredient, though.
Oh,
it's a powerful flavour.
I'm like, you might as well not have a cheeseburger. I just don't understand what's going on.
What are you doing with your life, people? Oh, God.
Anyway,
Okay,
I
so
digress.
how did that...
What my training rules was that I let people push me around, and I
Right.
continued that into my 20s until I met my husband.
Oh, okay. Let's hear about the hubby. So this is the full circle ranger moment. So how did that eventuate? How did he woo you? What were the steps there?
He didn't woo me, I wooed him.
Oh, hello. Tell me about that.
I
How
love our story so much. It's almost made up. So let me just clear my throat and get ready for this banger of a story. So my friends lived in London, and and they played baseball, and my husband and his brothers played baseball as well. So they my husband and his brother met my other friends in London. I didn't know any of this. It was obviously they were two separate groups of people in the world, and somehow they've come together.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came back, my friends came back from London to Sydney, moved back and said, God, when we were in London, there's this guy who now lives in Perth. He's moved back to his hometown of Perth. And he is like your soulmate. You are totally meant to be together. And I was drunk and I stole their phone and I called him. And I go, hey, you don't know who I am, but apparently we're meant to be together. And we talked on the phone for an hour.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
totally hit it off, like, straight away, like we'd known each other 10 years. He's super duper funny, really funny. And he was just, God, he's just saying the funniest jokes to me. And, like, anyway, we got along really well. And that kind of happened. And then 6 months later, I forgot about him, and it was like FaceTime was FaceTime. FaceTime didn't even exist, and Facebook had only kind of just come out. Like, how old do I sound right now? Fuck. So it wasn't like I just jumped on and we started talking on Facebook. It just wasn't even a thing. I don't even think Messenger was around then. Anyway, so 6 months later, my friend said to me, you know that guy that you stalked? He's coming over to Sydney for a wedding, and we're going out on New Year's Eve. Do you want to come and meet him? And I was like, yes.
Your friends sound so good. Your friends sound amazing. Like, friends like that are rare. That's real good.
Well, I've hooked up so many of my friends who have got married.
Oh, that's nice, Emma. I need you to do that for me. Okay, that's a task that I'm going to put you on.
Yeah, I'm onto it. I'm a good power upper. I'm good at it. I'm coming to Adelaide as soon as this lockdown's over. And the hard border between Adelaide and Queensland doesn't exist. Anyway, so then he comes over for New Year's Eve, and we walked up to each other. We're about to get on this boat to go to Goat Island in Sydney. And the first thing he says to me is, so you're a comedian, hey? Tell us a joke. And I was like,
oh, fuck.
I was like, what a shit opening line.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So then I was kind of like a bit off him until I had like 5 drinks under my belt, and I went up to him and I was like, I'm going to kiss you at midnight. Anyway, we floated. We just far out. We hit it off. Like, we're just mucking around all night. And then at 10 o'clock, I remember him putting his arm around me, and he just kind of leant down and kissed me. And then we got the boat back to Sydney Town Hall, and he goes, do you want to get some KFC? I said, sure, because we're all drunk as skunks. And he goes, wait there, I'll be back in a minute. And then he went to KFC and ordered 2 meals and forgot about me and went home and ate 2 meals for himself, wondering what happened. And he feels like he missed something. And I was stuck at Town Hall.
What the fuck? He must have been so drunk. Oh, my God.
We were all, like, stupidly drunk, all of us. I don't blame him, because I think I saw a butterfly and got distracted and walked off somewhere else as well. It was like a movie scene. Like, he's like, oh, KFC. I was like, oh, a light. And then we just walked off in separate directions.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm not mad about it. Anyway, then we all went out as a big group the next night for dinner, and then we were together again that night. And then he had to go back to Perth. And I was like, so then he went back on the Saturday, and on the Tuesday I texted him and I was like, would it be okay if I called you? And he's like, yeah. So I called him, and then so began, there's more story to the story. Do you still want to hear more? There's more.
I want to hear all of it, yeah.
Okay, so then we started a long distance phone conversation kind of thing, right? And then my brother was the CEO of Big Day Out, right?
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, he was the CEO of Big Day Out, and I made up a story 5 weeks later that I've got to come to Perth Big Day Out to help my brother out. Do you think I should come over and maybe I could hook your friends up with VIP passes? Just throwing my weight around.
Oh, look at you. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Totally made up that I had to come to Perth just so I could see him. So...
Does he know this now, Emma?
Yeah, he fully knows it. Yeah. And it was the year Prodigy was headlining, and then so I went over, met all his mates, loved his mates. Then we got back to the reality of, yes, we live in separate states. The final twist to my story is, I don't know what happened with my sister and my brother. They've never done this in their lives, but they just knew, and my sister met Bryn, my husband, at that Big Day Out. They were like, this guy is like, Emma's going to marry him, right? So I've only known him 5 weeks now. Unbeknownst to me, and I don't know they've never done this, and still to this day they can't believe they did it themselves. They took Bryn's number out of my phone and called him at work, and they said, hey, it's Emma's sister and brother, and how would you feel if we flew you over to Sydney to surprise Emma for Valentine's Day? And like, it's just like, we all think back now going, what?
Nice. That's beautiful though.
Yeah. So it's like, so I was hungover as a motherfucker on Valentine's Day.
Great.
I think I'd been out till like 5 a.m. And my family said we're having a breakfast for Valentine's Day, and I was like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
You're like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, anyway, I slept in and they rang me going, why aren't you on breakfast? I'm like, I'm too hungover. I don't understand why we're having breakfast together. What do you mean? This is so weird. So no makeup. I have booze seeping out of my pores. Like, literally crop dusting a disgraceful night behind me every time I walk past someone. Zero makeup. I can't even imagine what my breath was doing. I'm walking towards the restaurant going, like, I don't even think I've got a bra on. I just don't understand what's happening. I was already sitting there, and then my sister comes around the corner with Bryn because they've picked him up from the airport, and he walks into the restaurant, and I was like, I had a hoodie on and I just died. I pulled the hoodie over my head and just put my face on the table going, oh my God. Anyway, from there on in, we had a great time, and then we just started doing long distance, and we did that for 18 months between Sydney and Perth.
Whoa.
And then I moved to Perth for a couple of years. And then we've been together ever since.
Wow. How did you do 18 months of long distance? That's a long time.
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. But like, it was no FaceTime. FaceTime didn't even exist. He didn't know how to Skype because he's a plumber, and like computers were so foreign to him. So we never saw each other's faces. We'd only see each other every 4 to 6 weeks. And when we saw each other every 4 to 6 weeks, I'd normally fly there because he was an apprentice, and for 2 days only.
Oh, shit.
But it was literally probably why we're as strong as we are, is because the foundation of our relationship is communication.
Yeah, wow, that's so important. Communication is the number one thing that I think makes or breaks. From all the stories I'm hearing over doing this podcast, communication seems to be a strong theme of what makes or breaks a relationship.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Wow. So who made the decision? I know you moved to Perth, but how did that come about? Was there a lot of, oh, maybe I should do this, or maybe what did that look like?
The relationship just couldn't last doing what we were doing. So he was still an apprentice, and so we were both at that point where we were like, we have to make this work. The most viable option is for me to come there first. And that's kind of, so I just packed up and moved over, and then we went from doing long distance to living together, straight away. But it was never, it was like it seems pretty seamless in my mind how it all kind of worked. Wow.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So how did you go from being just lovers and girlfriend, boyfriend living together? I know how it technically fucking works, but were there any discussions, or did you both know that you were on the same page with the whole kids thing?
Oh, we just decided 1 year. I mean, I'd fallen pregnant, but I had a miscarriage.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
that's tough.
Oh, that's okay. So I had a miscarriage, and then we kind of left it for a bit, and then we were just kind of talking about starting again. So we just decided to try, and then I think we wanted to do it in that order because there was just all these other kind of things going on externally for us. My dad had just passed away, and all this kind of other stuff that was going on. So it just seemed like the next step for us. Marriage wasn't the next step for us, kids was. And so we fell with my son, and then we booked our wedding and sent out the save the dates, and all his Perth mates booked their flights. And then we found out that breastfeeding is not a contraception, and I accidentally fell with my daughter.
So they're very close in age.
They're 14 months apart.
Wow, shit, man. Okay, that's close.
So we cancelled the wedding.
Gotcha.
And then we were disgustingly poor, and then we rebooked it, and then we got married in 2018. But it was awesome because the kids were there.
Yeah. Look, as I'm getting older, I'm really thinking that is a nice way to go, because that includes the whole family in the event, and that's a nice thing. That's a nice thing. So with the kids, what did the kids do for the wedding? Were they like? Well,
my daughter fucked up my walk down the aisle.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I'm gonna tear her a new one when she's 21. I'm gonna fuck up her walk down the aisle. That's what I'm gonna do.
How did she fuck it up?
I can't tell you how many times I visualized me walking down the aisle. Like, I've had this song. There's a song by Joshua Radin called Today. How's this though? I'd had that song in my head. It's called Joshua Radin by Today. I've had that as my definitely walking down the aisle song for years and years and years and years till I found it. Then Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi had the Joshua Radin actually come and play that song at their wedding. I was like, bitch stole my song. Anyway, so I would play that song in my car and visualize me walking down the aisle million trillion times, right? And the day finally came, and my daughter was supposed to walk down the aisle with my sister and my son, and anyway, she wouldn't. Oh no, with my mum and I, because my dad's passed away, so my mum was walking me down the aisle. My mum was giving me away. All three of us were supposed to walk down the aisle. I'm trying to take her hand. She wouldn't come down the aisle, so I was like, "Well, fuck yeah," and I left her at the church, in front of the church. Started my walk. Oh, she's screaming, "Mom!" Like, as I'm walking. I remember looking back, and my other friend Marissa came running out of nowhere, scooped her up in one scoop and kept running. Like, I could just see her do it. And then my guilt took over because I could hear her screaming and crying out for me. So I turned around, had to walk back and pick her up. And then because the three of us couldn't fit down the aisle properly, because now I've got her on one up, my mum's elbow keeps knocking every pew as she's walking past. My daughter's feet is hitting every single person's head as she walks past. And that was my walk down the aisle.
Oh my God, that needs to be in a movie. That's fucking hilarious. That is hilarious. That's actually hilarious. But yeah, I can see why you totally feel like when she walks down the aisle, that needs to happen. You need to be kicking everybody.
Yeah.
So-
I'm just gonna crump. I'm gonna do like a crumping dance and learn how to do the worm.
Oh shit, that's so funny.
Good. Yeah.
So were there, other than the walking down the aisle part of the ceremony, was there anything else that you guys did that was unique to you two in your ceremony, or did you have just the generic structure?
Yeah, it's a Catholic church, so generic
right.
kind of for that.
Was that something you guys chose, or did you feel like that was...
That's pretty much what I chose.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool. Nice.
My husband's not Catholic. But yeah, no, I think really that was the church. That was all kind of that, and then we had a really big bridal party. Because I've been a bridesmaid 6 times, and so I had.
Fuck off.
Yeah, so I had all of them as payback, and then they and my husband had 6. So we had like a big bridal party. But
Wow.
I loved it though, because we had a minibus that drove us around for our photos, and we had the best time together.
Oh, that's nice. I have a question about bridesmaids, Emma. So what do they actually do? What is the function of a bridesmaid other than just to stand there and look pretty next to the bride?
Well, it's just to kind of keep the day, like, it's also, but that is the most important part of the function, is to stand there. I wouldn't want to not have those girls next to me.
Right.
I wouldn't want them in the crowd, so to speak. I want them next to me. Like, they've meant so much to me my whole life. Like, most of these girls that I had, well, all of them actually, I've known since I was a little girl.
Oh, nice.
So there's no way I wouldn't want to have that major day without them next to me to turn and have a little commentary together about things. And
yeah, nice, lovely.
I would feel I'd hate for them to be removed from that process.
That's really nice.
And apparently there was chaos unfolding around me on the day, and they shielded it from me.
Oh, that's lovely. That's good.
That's a good role of a bridesmaid too.
Yeah, I think that's great. But that would generally, pardon me, not genuinely.
And I hate that word. I say it wrong all the time. Yeah.
That would be a reflection of that they actually give a shit. There's so often I hear bridesmaids that don't really give a shit, and they would not do that. If there was chaos unfolding, they would not shield the bride from it because they don't give a shit.
Well, then they're not good enough friends to be bridesmaid in the first place. Though.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
I've heard so many stories though along the years of my friends and family being, getting married and shit, hearing there's always, like, there seems to be in general one bitchy bridesmaid that just is either very bitter that she's not getting married or jealous or whatever it is, and just either causes problems or is not an effective, helpful person.
Well, all my friends were married and had kids way before me.
Okay.
So they were all done with that stage.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, they're all 6 of them, and massively different personalities, obviously, all of them. But we've all grown up and known each other, that we all know we've all got annoying habits, don't we? All of us.
Yep.
So we all know each other's annoying habits, and we just put up with it and laugh about it. Like, that's what I loved about this group,
Oh, cool.
And do you know what a funny bit about the wedding is? I was supposed to do a 3-minute speech before my husband. So my mum did an amazing speech. She's super funny. My mum's very dry, very unassuming of how funny she is. Right? She's actually, like, all my family are massive extroverts, but she's not. And God, she had a great speech, and like everyone had really good speeches, and I was supposed to do a quick 2 to 3 minutes before my husband, right? How long do you reckon my speech went for?
20 minutes?
27 minutes. I basically headlined a comedy club. And fucking hell, I was on fire. I tore that room a new one. I couldn't get off. I was just loving it so much. Everyone was laughing. I was on fire. And then I was like, and then my husband, I had to introduce my husband. He gets up, he goes, "Fuck you," in my ear, because he knew he had to follow that.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Whoops. Yeah.
Yeah, oops. So did you not write anything down or you just kept going?
Yeah, I did. But I'm a big ad-libber. Like most of my stand-up, I love ad-libbing.
Yeah, sweet.
So if I'm on a roll,
you just keep going. Look out. Look out.
Yeah.
So for the people listening, what advice would you give them in regards to finding the one? What advice would you give, Emma, if any?
Be honest about yourself and what you want, and don't try and meet someone who you think's supposed to fit a particular mold. Don't try and be open. Okay, 2 things. Be honest to yourself and be open to anything, because people have like a little checklist mentally in their head, whether they think they do or they don't. Everyone has a checklist in their head. And that you're a fucking liar if you say not. And I think there's no way. My checklist was meet a guy from Perth and do long distance for 18 months. But like you just, you've got to be open to everything, and in your gut, you'll know whether it's right or not so early in.
Okay, so going back to the question your daughter asked you last night, how did you know that your husband was the one? Because I want to know the answer to that question.
He makes me laugh so much. He writes heaps of my jokes.
Oh, does he?
Yes, so many of them. I fully take the credit for that. Yeah, he does. He makes me laugh lots and 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 also with him, like, I knew he was the one because it was easy, and I kept thinking, the whole thing when girls do, they go, "It's too easy, something must be wrong, or something's going to happen because it's too easy." Yeah, don't get me wrong, we've been through hardship, but it's always been, compared to all my other relationships, it just worked.
Right. Well, that's good. That's good to know.
There's no mind games. No mind games.
Yeah, God, I don't have time for that shit. That's too exhausting. Too exhausting. On a side note about your husband, I listened to the episode where he came on your podcast.
Yeah.
And I learned something about toilets. And
yes, me too.
Funnily enough, one of my toilets was running after you flush it. And then like a week later, it flooded like a motherfucker.
Shut up.
And I was like, should have dealt with this earlier. I knew this was a problem because I've got that information and I didn't deal with it, and now it's flooding.
Did you throw the tampionis on the floor? No one's going to get that joke unless you listen to episode 4 of Quite the Pickle, season 1.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, there needs to be a brand of tampons called tampionis. There
really does. So you know what my husband's like then. You can hear the dynamic between us and Jack. Jack's like my second husband.
That's good. You got a good support system. I love it. It's great.
I do.
It's good. It's real good. So look, that podcast was very helpful. And also the other episode where you had, I think it was a paramedic?
The medic guy.
Yeah, that was really good. And then the self-defense guy was great as well. That was fantastic.
I think the self-defense expert everybody needs to listen to.
Yes.
That episode. It's so important, that episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that was a bit of an eye-opener, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, I definitely think everyone should listen to that. It's especially now with everything that's kind of going on.
Exactly right. I totally agree with that. Are there any parting words of wisdom that you would like to leave us with, Emma, in regards to love, relationships, dating, sex, whatever you want?
I'm glad we haven't talked about sex today. I was so nervous about that. I said that to you. I was like,
I avoided it on purpose. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, I listened to Jack's episode. I couldn't even look him in the eyes for like 3 weeks after that episode. I was like, oh, I know too much.
Yeah.
Nice episode. You're talking about religion. I was like, I can't keep up with this theme of this podcast. What is happening?
Yeah, the tangents are the good. Yeah, I love the tangents.
Oh, you're cute for avoiding sex. Thanks. My Catholic mother would not like that. Look outside your little square. Be open to so much. Don't ever go back on your honest truths. They are there for a reason. Mm-hmm. Find someone who makes you laugh. Because when we're old and our tits are being tied up around our knees and his balls have been tucked into his socks, I still know we'll be sitting on the balcony having a laugh together.
I love that. That needs to be on a T-shirt or a postcard or something. That's great. That's
like, like the Far Side cartoons?
Yeah.
And like that is how I visualize it. Like a man with his balls tucked into his socks and my tits tucked into my socks, but we're having a wine, having a laugh.
That's so romantic. I love it, Emma. I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been absolutely delightful, babe. It's been awesome.
It's been great.
You. The Catch-A-Lorette with friends near and far, from heartache to catfish and sex toys. The Catch-A-Lorette and friends. See you next time if you dare.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the planet checking account. It gives back to the planet at no cost to you, and there's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement. Only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.